When I began making content videos like this one, it was the early days of 2020 when the whole uncertainty of COVID was coming down upon all of us. And I started to notice that myself, previously suffering from a lot of challenges and anxieties, was navigating this relatively sanely, relatively centeredly, with a certain degree of centeredness and calm. And so I thought, I might share some of my experiences of how I'm doing this out to my friends and many people that I see around who are having challenges. And I immediately got feedback from people who I hadn't had contact with for some time saying, "You seem really different, Mira." I hadn't seen them for years. They're like, "What's different? There's something grounded about you. There's something different in your energy. What is it?" What they were seeing was the results of the fact that I had done my trauma work. And this phrase gets thrown around a lot. Trauma work, do your trauma work, do your trauma work, do it. It's become very, very trendy. As in many areas, self-development, psychology, spirituality, we have trends. And trauma work is certainly a trend, but it's a trend that I wholeheartedly support when it's done intelligently. And what it meant for me. I'm going to talk about what trauma work meant for me and means for me. So coming out the other side has meant that I have now become a mentor, a coach, a therapist, a counselor, a guide for other people wanting to take that journey, who see benefit in taking that journey. And this is what I call the embodied living process. This is the process that I walk on, the journey that I walk on, healing and recovery and growth journey of my clients, of myself previously, and now my clients. And so it happens in 3 stages. The first stage is to begin to befriend and learn about the nervous system, to work with your cognitive understanding of how the nervous system works and your felt sense understanding of the experience of the nervous system. What is happening when I feel fear, when there's these big waves of panic, when I've got anxiety, when I've all these kinds of uncomfortable protective sensations? How do I get more tolerant of them? How do I learn to regulate them, to modulate them, to step out of them, step into them, let that energy move through? Once that basic regular regulation practice is in place, this allows people to go a bit deeper, going down into the underlying beliefs, the stories, the memories, and the meaning that was made from them. Okay, so this is often when people talk about beliefs, we're talking about the meaning that we made from something that happened. You don't have to necessarily go into trauma memories, but there'll be some meaning that was made from something, and we want to somewhat make sense of that. These meanings were made way back when, and they keep you thinking, they keep a filter that the world is unsafe and continuing to trigger the nervous system. So once we've begun to uncover and reveal those underlying meanings, and we are able to modulate, to regulate the nervous system through that experience, deep healing and release happens. At this point, we become ready. This is the part. So the first part is embodied loving, embodied living is the second part, and the third part, embodied leading. So here we begin to turn our attention back outwards again. And many people, I'm very passionate about this because many people experience, if they go into a coaching process and they're looking at goals and dreams and aspirations and accountability and moving forward, and they hit stumbling blocks where there are overwhelming experiences of sabotage, confusion, chaos, intensity, panic, fear arising, that sometimes the coaching modalities and tools and processes don't have what they need, kind of let them down, and they spiral and they get stuck. And it's like, I set another goal and I just don't achieve it. And then that can just build up negativity over time. And we can lose hope. So once we've been through this journey of like, oh, I know how to work with the triggers in my body, and I know the meanings. I know where they came from. I understand them. Then, as we begin to reset, now we know ourselves much, much better. We reset new goals, authentic directions for our lives, things that maybe we've been too afraid in the past to admit that we wanted. We begin to develop the courage to say, yes, this is what I want for my life, and to begin to move towards it. Now, as we move towards new things, new goals, new directions, this is unfamiliar. This is the territory of uncertainty, which means unfamiliarity and can trigger fear in the nervous system. This can then tap into that big well of previous experiences that mean that just a little bit of anxiety turns into a massive amount of panic and fear, because we've still got those old patterns and things there. They can get triggered. Okay, they can come up again. Beautiful. One of my coaches says, don't waste a good trigger. Once we know how to use them, we can work through them. We can release that. We can regulate the nervous system, and we can come back to taking positive actions, using that information that the nervous system has given us to discern, what do I need to do in a way that feels good to me, right? How do I need to feel safe in this situation? Well, what do I need in order to feel safe in this situation? What do I need to calm my nervous system down enough so it can keep doing this thing? Maybe it's showing up on video like this regularly. Maybe it's asking for a promotion. Maybe it's having a hard conversation, telling someone you love them. I don't know. To experience safety inside in such a situation requires exposure, requires trying, requires repetition. And so if we try it and we get the trauma response come up and we don't know what to do with it, that's the past. Then we spiral back, we stop, and maybe we're out of the game, months, years even. If we get triggered in that way and we know what to do with it, we know how to regulate, and we know the patterns and where they came from, and that compassion is there, maybe it's just an hour or two. But we've mapped out, this is how I regulate my nervous system. This is what I need, where these triggers live and why. This is what I need to come back to a state of safety and try again. This is essential. This capacity for resilience is absolutely essential to move us towards lives of flourishing and thriving and growth. The embodied living process that I took myself through with the help of many, 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 many mentors, coaches, healers, all the things over many years is what I've now crystallized and developed. And I now deliver in 3, 6, 12-month mentorship, coaching, counseling packages. And we essentially go through all those 3 stages, either in a light touch or a deeper touch, depending on where you're at in your healing and your growth and what you need. So that's me. That's my work. I would love to get to know you more. If you have a story you want to share, or you want to just come and connect with me and find out what it's like, how my modalities, my way of working might meet your needs. If you're finding yourself like, I know what I'm supposed to do, but I still just can't seem to do it, chances are there's a trauma story in there that needs some befriending, some attention, some warmth, some resonance, some compassion, and some deep healing. If that's the case, I would love to hear from you. I'm going to put my booking link for intro calls down below. So if you want to come and have a chat and get to know me a bit more, you are very free to. And if you don't, you just want to keep watching content and get to know me this way, you're also completely free to do that. I honor your embodied sovereignty and agency and what feels good for you in the choices that you make. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to connecting more with you soon.